Good evening. It's just gone 7 o'clock on a Tuesday, so you all know what that means. It's the Tuesday ticket on the Boise bus. And Regan looks different tonight. He's looking like an older, balder version of me.
Shaved up a bit.
Oh, no, it's my dad. Ah, right. Okay, it's Johnny. It's Johnny Log. You're getting 2 logs for the price of one, you lucky, lucky bastards. And of course, wouldn't be a Tuesday ticket without Phil McGinley. Phil, how you doing?
I'm all good, mate. All excited for this week. It's one of those early Christmas time. You know, you mark it down in the calendar when the fixtures come out. You know, you look for when the first Champions League fixtures are going to be, and here we are. And I'm looking very much forward to this game tomorrow night. Can't ask for a better fixture. Hopefully, that's not famous last words, but the optics of it look pretty good, David. They look pretty good, mate.
Yes, they do look good. This is where it gets confusing for me. I don't know whether I just call you Dad on here or just call you Johnny. We'll go with Johnny.
Johnny will be,
Aye, Johnny Logue. Where are you now? Are you at home or are you somewhere across the globe?
No, I'm at home at the minute. Go away tomorrow.
You got
just tonight.
Got the classic Boise Bus t-shirt on as well, which is always good to see out and about. And just before we get on any further, Regan has joined us. Regan, where are you? What are you doing? You good?
David, how you doing? I'm fine, but I'm on my mobile phone tonight, so it might be a different. It's a different setup, but I am good to be here, David.
Doesn't matter how you get here, mate. As long as you're here.
Johnny, it's good to see you, know. Johnny, good to see you as well. How you doing?
You too, Regan. I'm doing all right. How's you?
That's good, aye.
And you enjoying that new top that my lad got you?
Aye. I'm glad we finally got it sorted, but it's doing good.
Good stuff.
Took as long as Celtic takes to get deals done, but he got it eventually. But yes, this is the usual place with all the news, the gossip, and the hearsay. But there's not much news, there's not much gossip, and there's certainly not much hearsay now that the transfer window is shut. So the Tuesday ticket format is changing slightly, just depending on what's happening. And of course, there's no secret. The Champions League for us starts tomorrow. So, Phil, we are going to focus tonight's show on the Champions League. But before we do that, give us a like, give us a share, slag the lack of hair that my dad has, and become a Boise Bus member for a small cost of $1.99. All our content is absolutely free. This is just your way to support the bus and keeping the wheels on the road. We will never do content that is exclusively only for paid members. It's just a way, just a little voluntary thing if you'd like to support the bus. And of course, big shout out to piesports.com. Get on there, get your tasty basic treats for 12.5% off at the checkout with Bus 1888. Right, let's talk Champions League. Have we all got our heads around the new format yet? Because they've been talking about this, Phil, for a good while. The format is now changed. It's more of a league table opposed to small groups at the minute. And of course, our first game is, of course, against the Slovakian champion, Slovan Bratislava. Phil, before we get talking about the actual fixture itself, how are you feeling overall with the new Champions League format? Are you excited about it, or are you still trying to wrap your head around it? I'm sure you've probably got your head wrapped around it by now, knowing you. But what's your overall view on the new Champions League format?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I don't think it's that complicated. I think initially when it first got announced, I was one of the ones where I'm like, does this really need change? Did anybody really ask for this? But obviously UEFA have done it on the back of the Rogue Super League that was going to start a couple of years ago. They've had to do something to appease the bigger teams, and obviously they've shaken it up a bit. And once I actually watched the draw happening and saw the fixtures coming out, I was like, right, okay, I've got my head around this. The only thing that I think some people are just struggling to decipher is we're not in a group, even though Aston Villa and Young Boys are playing right now and they're both fixtures we're going to play. Every single team has 8 different matches. So even though they are 2 teams that we will encounter in this adventure, it's not a case of their result tonight doesn't really affect us in any way. As we go deeper into it and get more fixtures in, then obviously, we'll get a better better picture of the league table. And that's the thing that's most exciting about David, is it's the unknown. We don't really know how many points it's going to take to get us through. Most people are speculating 10 points should be enough to get you into the top 24, which gets you onto the next phase. But again, we don't know. We don't know for definite at the moment. But I'm excited about it, and it is freshened up. So initially, as I say, I was a bit like not really that bothered, but now I'm really up for it. So yeah, looking forward to seeing this in action when we kick off tomorrow night.
Yeah, vegan Ian McIntosh has come in early doors and saying, feeling a bit more optimistic about this Champions League campaign. Are you on the same wavelength as Ian McIntosh? And if so, why? Why are you feeling the way that you're feeling?
Because I think Brendan Rodgers touched on it earlier. I think we'll probably get as ready made as we could be for a Champions League campaign for the first time in a long while, David. I mean, for all to tell you, often we go into these Champions League campaigns and we've got I remember Beaton playing at the back. I remember O'Donnell. I can ring off some more names, but Chief T from Dundee United. So you've got all of these guys, you know what I mean? And I think this is the first time probably where I can say, well, Celtic have probably backed a manager. And I think Brendan Rodgers touched on that at his press conference earlier. And I think as well, David, the fact that all of the home games, for the first time in a while, all the home games, I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but then I'm also going to get ahead of myself at the same time. I think that they're all matches that we should be winning on the European stage. You know, but Bratislava tomorrow night, I know a former Rangers player who often scored against Celtic is involved for them tomorrow night, but I'm sure it's a match that Celtic can surely win. And then you look at the other matches in the group, and I'm thinking that this is a format that I actually look forward to watching. I think it's something like the top 8 are guaranteed to go through, but then the next batch go through to a playoff. So I think we've got a great chance, David, and I think it's no that old mantra now that you can try and play European football day after Christmas, because we've got some games in January, but I'm sure Brendan Rodgers is wanting to qualify for this for this group as well. And I think it also shows as well that I think if you look at the midfield in particular, we've got so many great options there. I know people are saying we've just got rid of Matt who's went to Brighton, but we've got Engels, we've got Bernardo, we've got obviously the guy for Dundee that scored at the weekend as well. So I'm very happy with where Celtic are at, and I think tomorrow night I'm looking forward to going along, David. So it's going to be great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Johnny, this is Celtic's third successive appearance in the UEFA Champions League proper, and it's pitted us against Slovan Bratislava, who are making their competition debut. This is the only second time Celtic have featured for 3 consecutive campaigns in a row, and it's our 13th appearance overall as we look to reach their last 16 for the first time since 2012-13 season. Starting off against the Slovakian champions, it's been touted as a must-win. It's been touted as a should-win. So how important is it for us to get off to the right start? And as Regan's touched on it, is this the first time in a long time that we felt that Celtic have been tooled up properly for a Champions League campaign?
Well, the first part of that is it's a must-win tomorrow night. Get off to a good start, get the 3 points on the board, because I think our next 2 games are away from home, aren't they? We're away to Dortmund and then away to Atlanta, which, you know, none of the 2 of them are going to be easy games. Dortmund, runners up in the Champions League last year, weren't they? And from memory, when I watched it, really could and maybe even should have been out of sight before Real Madrid took control of it. And Atlanta, they won the Europa League, didn't they?
They blew away by Leverkusen.
So, you know, when we first seen the draw come out, you think to yourself, you know, that's not a bad draw, that. But, you know, when you start to look at it and you think, wait a minute, we're up against last season's 2 major European competition finalists. runners up, albeit, but still final. So vital to get the 3 points on the board. I also think we've probably got, if we could have handpicked our first game, I think that's not a bad result we've got there. Although from the little bit that I was watching earlier on of the young boys against Aston Villa, the having the young boys at home might have not been a bad start either. Don't know too much about the opposition for tomorrow night, if I'm being honest. Just kind of got it in the back of my head a little bit worried that we've not been any great shakes in the last 20 years in Europe, and it does make me wonder what it's Slovan Bratislava we're playing tomorrow, isn't it? Slovan Bratislava.
Slovan.
Makes you wonder what the Boise Bus equivalent across there, what they're saying about us, saying, not a bad pick. They've got a pretty crap record in Europe. They've only done, blah, blah, blah. Just the only thing they might have regretted is being away from home in the first game. But I think we've got to be quite confident about tomorrow night's result. But to answer your question, must win tomorrow night. We've got to get the 3 points on the board to just give us something in the bank. And then hopefully, what would we be happy to take from the next 2 games away from home? 1 draw out of the 2 games? I'd settle for any kind of point from them to put us on them. I'd look for us to be on a minimum of 4 points after 3 games, and take it from there. To be honest with you, and I think, So, and I don't think Atalanta. I've not really kept an eye on how they've started their respective leagues. But I think Atalanta have had a couple of thumpings in the opening game or so of the Italian league. But vital to win tomorrow. We've got to get 3 points on the board, and then we'll see what the next 2 games bring us, and hopefully get something out of them.
Yeah, well, Slovan have come through all 4 qualifying rounds to reach the new league phase, and are the first club from Slovakia to feature in 14 seasons and just the 4th overall. Previous meetings that we've had with them was in 1963-64 European Cup Winners' Cup quarter-final, where we won 1-0. The only meeting between the clubs came as Celtic took on Slovan in their first UEFA competition campaign. A Bobby Murdoch penalty in the 19th minute was enough to settle the first leg in Glasgow on the 26th of February 1964, and the teams met again in Bratislava on the 4th of March. And again, Celtic scored the only goal in the closing stages, John Hughes pouncing on the 85th minute. Jock Steen's side went on to lose 3-4 on aggregate to MTK Budapest in the semi-finals. In terms of form, Phil, Slovan have won 5 of their 6 league games in the 2024-25 campaign so far, coming from behind to earn a 2-1 victory at DAC 1904 on Saturday, thanks to a second-half double from Tigran Baregsan. He's got 6 goals and 6 league appearances this season. As you can see, I avoided saying his name a second time there. The Slovakian champions had lost their previous league fixture 5-0 at home to Zelina on the 1st of September, and that ended Slovan's unbeaten start to the season in all competitions. They've won 9, drawn 3 up to that point, and was their heaviest defeat since another 5-0 loss at Young Boys on match day 1 of the 2014-15 UEFA Europa League campaign. So they are on good form, but they have, they've obviously had some shaky starts and managed to overcome them. And they've also had a drumming at home, 5-0 from one of their league rivals. And I think, as far as I'm aware, are they 6-time champions in a row at the minute? I was reading, I think. So, I mean, we can't underestimate them, Phil. But from what you've heard there, history is on our side. And, of course, form is obviously more on our side than Slovens at the minute.
Yeah, they can't be taken lightly, because I know it's a cliche, but there isn't really any easy games at this level. And as we know from supporting Celtic over the years, we tend to make it hard for ourselves. A worrying stat for you, I know I don't want to put a dampener on it, but when it comes to UEFA competitions, group stages, or a league phase that is now, we've only won once in the opening game in the whole group phase era, which was a win against Rosenborg in 2018. Lee Griffiths scored like a really late winner that day, so we've not got a great. Yeah, we've drew 0-0 with Aalborg. That's quite a similar level team. I remember that one in 2008. So it's like we can't go into this one just thinking the game's won right away because again a snidey 0-0. If they just put 10 men behind the ball, we can't break them down. After a shocker to start because we do need to make the most of this. And picking up on something Johnny said there about what are they thinking looking at us, because here's some food for thought. Here are Slovan Bratislava's 8 fixtures, and you tell me if they're looking at us and thinking we're a winnable game. They still have to play after us Manchester City, Girona, Dynamo Zagreb, AC Milan, Atletico Madrid, Stuttgart, and Bayern Munich. So they're definitely looking at us and thinking, yeah, Celtic are probably a winnable game for us. So that's the position. So we need to approach them very, very cautiously. They will have some dangerous players. Also, I'm not going to try and repeat his name as well, David, because but yeah, 6 goals in 6 games for one of their strikers. It's not a bad record at all. So yeah, they're going to be we're going to have to be wary of them. But the thing is, Brendan Rodgers will be cautious. He'll treat them with the respect they deserve. He won't go in there and just have it. No, we're going to win, no problem. Just turn up, boys, and that's it. Job done. No, he'll be drilling into the players at training, and even though the team talk before they go out tomorrow night, he'll be drilling into them that this team will be watched. Say teams like Shakhtar and stuff like that came to Celtic Park recently and have came away with a point. We need to be very, very wary. They will have some dangerous players.
Absolutely, and obviously, Regan, Phil touched on it. He's going to the game. Will you be there tomorrow night?
David, I will be. Yeah, I will be there.
You'll be there, and you'll be pulling your weight and making sure that Celtic Park is a fortress and not a tourist attraction, despite our very high rated marks on TripAdvisor. We want those boys from Slovak to be giving us a 1-star on TripAdvisor because they had a terrible time at Celtic Park, and of course that is going to have to be massively important. The fans always do their bit in making Celtic Park a European night to remember. Let's just hope that it can be a winning night. So you're looking forward to that, mate. And how important is it that Celtic Park is a fortress again in Europe and not the tourist attraction it's been for the last few years?
I think it is so important. David, I've been there when we beat Zenit 1-0. We beat RB Leipzig 2-1. And like Phil said, we beat Rosenborg 1-0. So I'm hoping I'm the lucky charm as well, David. So hopefully Celtic can do the return tomorrow night and then 3 points in the bag. But no, like you said, I just hope that Celtic Park is a kind of a hard place for teams to go to, because you don't want it to be where everybody goes with the Celtic Park, the crowd are brilliant. You want to be that the Celtic squad is brilliant, you know what I mean? I'm looking forward to seeing Engels tomorrow night, David, because I'm just looking forward to seeing how he does well on that stage, because these are the kind of players that Brendan Rodgers brought in to try and show the team, look, we are deadly serious here. Because I know people were debating on the TV the other day about that would it be Pablo Bernardo or would it be Engels? But I think when you bring that guy in with that price tag, you want to see him do well on that stage as well. So no, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody do well, and hopefully this time Celtic can break that hoodoo of winning a European knockout match since season 2003-04.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's been far too long, David, for a club like Celtic to hold that record of not winning a European match since 2003-04 knockout game. I think it's far too long.
Let's touch on what you just mentioned there, Regan, and Jim C's come in with a comment. He's asking the team thoughts, Hatate or Engels with Mack and Bernardo in midfield. It's interesting that Jim seems to have gone with a partnership of Mack and Bernardo together. So he believes it's going to be between Engels or Hatate. Johnny, I think it's a shoe-in that Engels will start. But it's going to be Engels and Mack, I believe, anyway. But it could be a total toss of the coin, I believe, for that third midfield position, Hatate or Bernardo. Bernardo seemed to be on a Champions League only contract last season, so I mean we know he's got plenty of experience at this level now. So does he go, and obviously Hatate missed most of that campaign, if not all of it, through injury. So we know what Hatate can bring. I know Mark's been quite vocal on Twitter or X that he believes that Hatate should be dropped for the Champions League game. But there's obviously plenty of argument as to why he should still be in the starting lineup, because he just brings something maybe slightly more dynamic than maybe say Bernardo. What would be your starting three? And give me a reason as to why you've picked. Well, obviously no Karl Max. What's your other two?
I think he'll bring in Bernardo for Engels, and you just touched on it there. I think Mark put a little poll up in our WhatsApp group, and I put down I think he'll go with Bernardo, Carmack, and Hatate. And I think purely because, we want to see Engels play. He's the most expensive. He's a record signing. But Bernardo, although of a similar age, has just got more Champions League experience. Because, as you just said there, David, it seemed like at one stage he had couldn't get a game against Ross County, but then would play again in the Champions League or something like that. And I think that's why he'll go there for the experience, to get the first game out of the way, and maybe look to bring on Engels later on in the game, maybe after the 60-minute mark. But that's where I reckon he'll go. Same team as on Saturday against Hearts, with the swap round of Bernardo in for Engels.
No, I can't see Engels not starting. I can't see Engels not starting. I mean, you've signed a boy at, like you said, record fee 11 million. He's got power. I know we've not seen that much of him, but he looks like he's got a lot of power, a lot of confidence on the ball. Looks tidy. I can't see Brendan signing an 11 million pounds. We've been screaming for us to spend this kind of money to tool up for the Champions League, if not to start him against, arguably, with no disrespect, the easiest fixture on the Champions League calendar for us. If you can't start him against them, then I'd be very surprised. I think it's between Bernardo and Hatate, if I'm being honest.
David,
Phil, where are you with that? Phil, are you? Sorry, I'll get to you about it, Regan. Where are you with that one? I don't want to lose much where I am in terms of who I'm talking to. And there's four of us on, it makes it a bit more difficult. Where are you with that? Because I can see the reason as to why you would start Bernardo. He's obviously there's a bit more power in there. Maybe a little bit more cautious throw a bit more caution to the wind, bringing Hatate on. But I just think Bernardo brings that little bit more power that we saw, like what we saw against Rangers. I can't see there being a situation where Engels doesn't start. So it has to be for me between Hatate and Bernardo. But I can understand where Johnny is coming from in terms of experience. But when we're signing the boy for the Bundesliga here, this isn't. And no, again, no disrespect. This isn't Luke McCowan we're throwing in a Champions League game here.
It's first things first when you say this is good options for Brendan to have, and we're delighted that he's got this headache. This is a good thing. And us picking a certain player isn't saying that we're writing them off and dismissing them. I say this is a good headache for Brendan Rodgers to have. What we wanted, squad depth. I think we have to find a way to get Paulo Bernardo into the team on European nights. I think ball retention is so crucial, because again, how naive have we been in the last few years in Europe, where we've made a silly mistake and get the counter attack and losing the ball. I'm thinking Shakhtar Donetsk when Mudryk scored, the five scored against us in both games, the home and the away leg, and it was down to us losing the ball very carelessly in the middle of the park and then hitting us in the counter. So I think ball retention is crucial, and I think Bernardo does that very, very well. So I think we've got to find a way to get him in there. So the toss-up is really between Engels or Hatate. Because I think Bernardo will start. I think Brendan will look to get him in there. Did you say last season he was playing him exclusively? I think it'll be Engels. And again, that's not me saying that Hatate's rubbish or anything. Again, I just think with these European nights, it has to be a little bit more cautious. It's great when Hatate can pick an amazing pass and open up a defence, and he takes a bit of a risky move and it pays off, but he does give the ball away as well a lot. And again, we can't afford to make silly mistakes, because what we will get away with against a team like St Mirren or Hearts or Hibs, we will not get away with at this level, even if it is Slovan Bratislava. So I think it's going to be McGregor, obviously, It'll be Bernardo and it'll be Engels, I think he'll go with as the three in the middle.
Regan, before you give me your answer to that, I just want to bring up Smell the Gloves comment because it's a very good point. There's too much emphasis on who starts a game these days. Games last an average of 95 minutes and we get 5 subs to put on. So, I mean, a great point. If we're in a very interesting situation now where you can have such a strong bench that I don't think we're used to having, especially at Champions League level, to be able to go, well, you know what? I'm going to start at Engels, Callum McGregor, and Hatate, let's say. And if that's not working, then brilliant. Bernardo can come on. So yeah, maybe we don't need to emphasise too much on who starts, but we'll stick with who starts for you at the minute, Regan, and give me your reasons to why you've picked that.
Who starts for me tomorrow, David? I would go with the same thing you said, just because Engels, I don't think Brendan Rodgers spends overall £13 million on a player and then says, no, I'm not going to play him. I think that would I think he wants to show that his marquee player is playing in that margin, like you said. That this is probably the weakest opposition we've played in Europe for a very long time. So I feel like Brendan will see that as a perfect match where he's kind of said to him, look, that's a game where I can see you fitting in. And I know people are saying he's not played too much, but also need to remember, like you said, he's played in the Bundesliga, which is widely regarded as the second or third best league in European football. So, I think he'll go with Engels, Bernardo, and McGregor.
I mean, I'm happy with any of these options. That's the beauty of it. It's refreshing. It's just a refreshing position for us to be in, that we can kind of just be quite happy. I don't think anybody's going to be bothered whether it's Hatate or Bernardo, especially after that performance against Rangers, or Engels and Bernardo, or you can mix and match. I don't think there'll be any fan that's going to be overly upset about the lineup, the starting lineup in the middle of the park. Let's move on to the defence, because I think that's an interesting one, because we've had questions as to whether Valley would start. Okay, that'll be Siri.
Or set up my Google.
There you go. Shell Pick 67. I like saying that name, Shell Pick. Will we play Valley or Taylor? So let's start on the left back position. Good thing the Punk Duck Warlord is not on tonight. Because there's no point in asking him that question. But even the Punk Duck can't deny the rise of Greg Taylor, just risen from the ashes like a phoenix. But Johnny, Greg Taylor hasn't put a foot wrong so far this season, you could say. So would it be harsh to see him lose his position against Slovan for Valley, or is this a case of, well, we've signed this boy on loan from Barcelona, when are we going to see him? Is this the time and the place to see what he's got? Where would you go with that one?
I don't think we'll see Valley tomorrow. Just a couple of things on that point. I can't judge him because I've never seen him play. We can't judge the opposition because I've never seen them play either. But it is a European Champions League must-win game, as we've already said. So I think if we're going to see Valley at all this week, it's going to be at the weekend when we play Falkirk at the weekend, don't we?
Yeah, that's what I think we'll see him start. I think that'll be when we first see him.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think he'll be playing on Saturday. I don't think he'll be playing tomorrow. I think that's nailed on for Taylor tomorrow night, to be fair. Could get thrown a complete curveball by Brendan tomorrow. He's the only one, I think, of any of us who's got any idea what Valley's got, what he's capable of. He signed him after all. But I can't see him playing tomorrow. I think it'll be Taylor. Unless he comes off the bench and we get a nice enough lead built up, and maybe it brings him on just to give him some game time and get a feel for the place. But I can't see that him starting. It's got to be Taylor all day long.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think Taylor's shown that he's obviously
He's not done anything to get dropped, has he? He's not given any reason not to play. So
no, I mean, I know the argument is, he'll be found out at this level, blah 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 blah. The more athletic, quicker pace, yada yada yada. But I think Taylor's right now. He hasn't done anything to suggest that we should be dropping him for an unknown quantity from the Barcelona Youth Academy. I mean, it would just be. I think it would be a very risky move unless Taylor pulls up an injury or gets sick or whatever. I can't see there being any other left backs starting other than Greg Taylor. Phil, we'll just move on to the position next. Liam Scales. Again, if we're going to go on the same argument that we've just discussed on Greg Taylor, Liam Scales has done absolutely nothing wrong to suggest that he should be being dropped, despite the price tag of our new American international centre back, Trusty. There'll be no glass smashed and Austin Trusty making his way to the ring. It'll be Liam Scales for me starting at centre back again. We'll hear the whole, but this is another level up. But I mean, again, he's not done anything to suggest that he should be dropped. And bringing in Trusty that was coming from the Championship and down in England. I mean, I think we'll see again. He'll start against Falkirk because we need to see him at some point.
Yeah.
You're not. There was me saying earlier, Phil. You don't spend £11 million on the midfielder, not use him in the Champions League. Somebody could turn around and say to me, "Well, we've just signed a £6 million centre back, so I see no starting." Again, what a beautiful position to be in, that we have a £6 million centre back sitting on the bench that can he get a game, because Liam Scales at the minute hasn't really put a foot wrong to suggest he should be dropped.
Yeah, I'd definitely be sticking with Scales. I think last season he obviously played in the Champions League, and I mean, obviously the typical Celtic things happened to the last season. It wasn't all William Scales' fault. I remember him playing pretty well against Lazio at home, and also even away. We held out pretty long in that game. William Scales was playing all right. So the biggest deficiency in Scales' game, and this is where the players around him have to be there to support him. This is where McGregor, if it's Bernardo starting, they need to come towards him to pick the ball up, where don't allow him to dwell on the ball for too long, because that's where obviously he falters. I've said earlier on about we can't carelessly give the ball away. We will get punished in the final third if we do. So obviously Scales, I think, when it comes to the basics of defending, I think he does pretty well. But when he's allowed to dwell on the ball and pass it out from defence, that's where he causes a few heart attack moments, to say the least. So this is where the guys in front of him have to give him good options and always keep moving for him. Because the longer he dwells on the ball, as he comes out of defence, he suddenly realises he's in nosebleed territory, and obviously he ends up just passing it right to an opposition player. So this is where it'll be very vital for all the guys around him to make sure they're always open for him, so that we can keep the ball moving quickly. Because what happens then sometimes, if he doesn't give the ball away, he'll just about turn and pass it sideways or pass it back the way, and we just reset. We need to keep the ball moving. It's so vital. I mean, this season, the way we've played in the majority of the games, the way we have kept the ball moving quicker, it's a massive turnaround from this time last year. It was very slow, very plodding. But the key this season is what we're doing, the movement off the ball that allows us to, keep the pace up. So we need to retain that tomorrow. So it'll be vital. With Scales playing as I say, he will definitely, the back four won't get changed. It will be the regular back four. If he is on the ball and he is expected to play out from the back, we need to make sure he's always got a good option to pass to, or else we could be in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think he's cut out a lot of these these mistakes that we kind of saw last season. Another example of maybe Brendan Rodgers' coaching coming to fruition. He seems to love coaching Liam Scales. He's made no secret of it, Regan. And of course, one of those reasons he's probably gotten better over the last season is playing alongside his partner in Cameron Carter-Vickers. Yep. We didn't get to see too much of a solid partnership between the two previous Champions League campaigns, with Starfelt missing Ange's first Champions League campaign, and then am I right in saying that Cameron Carter-Vickers missed a couple in the previous one as well? So it's nice to know that we've got our two starting centre backs fit and ready to play in this campaign. Regan, how important? I know this is a silly question, but content in that. How important is Cameron Carter-Vickers at the back when it comes to this level? Because I mean, he strolls through these Scottish games. He's, some say he's the best centre back that I've seen at Celtic Park in over 15, 20 years, which is a big statement to make, considering who we've had at the back. But he makes a case for it. Regan, how does he stack up against these bigger European competitions?
I think these are matches that you both CCV for, David, because I think in terms of that, like you said, he strolls most of the Scotland matches. So in terms of him, I think he's made for European football. I think we're led to believe that a lot of Serie A clubs get bids not back from during July and August as well. So I think that is a time where Carter-Vickers needs to show up as well. And I think you're right in saying there that I don't think he's played too much, Phil, because I remember Jens playing at centre back, and then when we got our victory last season, was it Stephen Welsh that played?
Stephen Welsh and Liam Scales started, and Lagerbielke came on and was the hero.
He's scored the winner, didn't he?
So I don't think Carter-Vickers has actually played in European football at home for Celtic yet, if I'm right in saying. So I think, so you were saying there about Greg Taylor, I know people were saying, is it going to be Vale or is it going to be Greg Taylor? But I think it's so important to have that continuity, because it might not be a big deal for me and you guys watching, but it's a big deal for those guys that are playing, because Greg Taylor and the rest of the back four, they all know what they're supposed to be doing, and they're in constant dialogue on the pitch. So I think Brendan Rodgers will want to keep that as close now as possible. But David, to answer your question, I think CCV is an important part to Celtic getting a victory tomorrow night as well, because I'm not too sure on the opposition, but I'll tell you something, he could definitely stop them from scoring anyway.
Oh, absolutely, mate. And of course, right back position, I think it picks itself. No disrespect to Anthony Ralston, but I know he didn't have his best game on the weekend there, but bear in mind he came off after 19 minutes or something like that against on international duty. There was a bit of a concern about his hamstring. Obviously, it didn't come to anything. It was all precautionary. But Alistair Johnson's been on the form of his life. He got to a major final in a international tournament with Canada, only to be beaten by, Argentina. So there's no real shame in that, losing to Lionel Messi's Argentina. And he was voted the best right back at the tournament for that. And of course, we've still somehow managed to keep a hold of him. I actually was very surprised that nobody came in and had a wee sniff around Alistair Johnson. To
be honest, David, I think that's why Brendan Rodgers and Celtic PR have been talking about that Celtic are looking to tie Alistair Johnson up in a brand new contract, because I think that's something that the club are probably aware of behind the scenes. The club will be looking at him.
Yeah, after the form. So obviously, Alistair Johnson, he's a shoe in the start, so long as he's fit. Let's just hope he's fit. He did get a bit of a reality check against Atletico Madrid that night. I think he was quite vocal of just couldn't really. There was just nothing that they could do to stop them, and I think that was a bit of a dampener for him. But he's certainly grown as a player since then. Like I said, he's played against some very good opposition in the Copa America, getting to the final. he will be buzzing for this. He is an absolute warrior at the back. He loves the physical aspects of the game, which is what Brendan's always touted about. You need in the Champions League is power, pace. He comes with both. He'll be up and ready for this game, surely.
Oh yeah, there's no two ways about that. I mean, with Johnson, I mean, like we all know how good he was when he had a decent World Cup with Canada. And he signed for us, obviously, and had a cracking start to his career. There was a little bit of a dip last year at times, but then again, apart from towards the end of the season, so did most of the team. And then he seems to have had a lift through the summer there with his international exploits, the Copa America, and he started the season well again this season. So hopefully he maintains it. And as you said, barring injury or illness, he's an absolute stick on tomorrow. And the one thing about him is he always gives absolutely everything. And I think if you've gone up against him as an attacker, I think you'll have known you've been in a game with him. Like especially if he goes in on a 50-50 with you, you'll know you've been in a tackle. So yeah, he's definitely going to start. So the back four is going to be pretty settled and picks itself really.
Yeah, I think the back certainly picks itself, and of course, Phil Casper Schmeichel. He was the one that nobody wanted apparently. They were all saying that we've signed a guy that's older than Joe Hart. What's this all about? Yeah, we're only signing him because Brendan knew him at Leicester. What a start to his season. For not only Celtic, for Denmark as well. He had a couple of clean sheets on international duty. He's full of confidence. He's just broke a record in the Scottish League for consecutive clean sheets. One of the, of course, obviously the most important part is he keeps the ball out of the net. But there is no denying that we look a far more confident team at the back with the distribution that Casper Schmeichel has. And that obviously I think will help the likes of Liam Scales. I think that might be another reason as to why Liam Scales has looked far more reassured at the back, knowing that we don't have no disrespect to Joe Hart had a brilliant season last season, but he always looked a little bit panicky when that ball came back to him. And I think Casper Schmeichel's certainly improved that situation, and it can only help us, Phil, in these European games.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. Again, it's all about, ball retention in terms of he can pick a pass, he's very accurate with his feet, and also he can move the ball really quickly. His distribution is really good. I mean, there was one at the weekend there, and it got pulled back for, I can't remember why the referee pulled it back. Just the referee doing Scottish referee things, but it was a throw out that he did. And it was, again, I say this so many times about Casper. I've said it so many times about him during his career, but it's just his dad all over. His dad was unbelievable. His throws as well. The distribution he got, he launched this one. And we were on the counter attack for whatever reason. The referee.
I remember it, Paul. I remember it.
Yeah. So I was just like, but he's great at for things like that. But another thing as well is the experience the guy's got. I know we could talk about the age and whatnot. And you're right. There was a skepticism around, why are we getting a guy in that's older than Joe Hart? But again, what he's done in the game, and keep in mind, this Champions League is not his first rodeo. He's played in the Champions League before with Leicester, and I'm pretty sure when Leicester were in it, they got all the way to the quarterfinals. I'm sure they won their second round game against, I want to say Seville. They got down to the last 8, which for Leicester is incredible. So he's been there. He's been in the Champions League. He's went through to the latter stages. He's had those big game experience moments. So he's won the Premier League as well. It's not much bigger than that. So he's going to be absolutely vital in this tournament as well. So, I know I said there was a comment earlier on saying, we'll see, he'll get tested tomorrow night. I hope he doesn't. I hope he has another quiet game. I hope it's another one just like the last 5 or so games that he's played in. We could easily just sit at the side and just read a newspaper or something. I hope he has a really quiet game tomorrow night. But I do trust that if a chance does fall to them, I do trust them in goal, because even at the end of the Rangers game there, where again, he may as well not have turned up for most of the Rangers game because they didn't threaten us. Even at the end when they got a couple of chances with McCausland and that, he was still alert, he was still sharp, and they pull off the big saves and not even give them anything. And I trust them and go. So yeah, even tomorrow, I hope he has a quiet game. But if they do happen to make a few chances, I think Schmeichel will stand up to it pretty well.
I think so too. And we've got 15 minutes left on the clock, so we'll start getting through the rest of the squad quickly. Regan Plunge McNugget is coming here with his starting 11. He's got with Schmeichel, AJ, CCV, Trusty, Valley, Hatati, Kalmak, Engels, Maeda, Kuhn, and Kyogo. So slightly different. I think majority of people would be going for, especially with Valley and Trusty in that back line. But he has picked the two wingers that I would have picked. Let's start with Kuhn. Now, obviously, Kuhn's been on top form as of late. Looks like he's got that knee strapped up pretty good. So I'm hoping that's not causing too much hassle for him. But started off unbelievably well. Of course, full of confidence, even just with those friendly games in America. I mean, despite it being friendlies and despite depending on the lineups that Man City and Chelsea put out, he provided some incredible assists and goals and carried that into the start of the season. Brendan talks about power and pace. Kuhn is full of pace. I'm not sure how much experience he has at Champions League level. So that brings me to James Forrest, who, of course, we know has had 501 appearances for the club now and has plenty of goals and plenty of assists at domestic and European level. Does Brendan go with the tried and tested and trusted James Forrest, or does he let Kuhn loose tomorrow night against Slovan? Where are you with your thinking on the wings? I go with Kuhn personally, and maybe bring on Forrest to wrap things up near the end. That experience can come on later on and shore things up and just keep everything calm. But I could also understand why Brendan would maybe start James Forrest. Where are you with that one?
No, I would go with the German, David, just because he's had a great start to the season. Also, you need to remember as well, I mean, people need to remember that he's played at a good level before. I don't know what he played with Rapid Vienna, but he was involved with Bayern as well, wasn't he? So, I mean, I don't think top level football will be too difficult for him, and I think as well, like I was saying on the back line, I think he's somebody that's been a very good flow since that match in pre-season against Manchester City. So I wouldn't really change him because I think he's getting more and more confidence as the weeks are going on, and I think like especially in that Rangers game as well, I thought he really stepped up there as well. I don't know if Phil agrees with me in terms of. I think sometimes when you're watching him in the stadium, he sort of tries to cut the ball in too much, whereas you should just shoot quicker. You know, he tries to do a lot of smart things instead of just putting his foot through it early on in the match. I don't know if you agree, Phil, but
he needs to, his distribution when he's cutting in, he's capable of it. Opens up so many times in front of him, he looks for a wee to beat another man or an extra pass or something. And
I watched that game. I watched that game on Saturday, and I thought, I think Lewis Palmer nearly did it, and then James Forrest almost did it when he passed the ball to obviously look for the goal. But I think that's something that we need to do more often. We need to stop trying to play the cute pass or trying to play like just shoot on.
He just needs to release the ball quicker, Regan. He just needs to release the ball sometimes a little quicker. There's, like you said, like Phil said, a space opens up and you think shoot, and he takes an extra touch, and then he takes an extra touch, and then by that point he's completely crowded out, and you know that's I think why a lot of his goals have actually come from deflections. You notice the first few of his goals have come from deflections because he's taken that extra touch and just been crowded out, and of course he's got the shot away, and he's just been fortunate that it's hit a man on the way through and beat the keeper. But sometimes you think you'd get a few cleaner goals if you release that ball just slightly earlier.
And I know the Rangers.
Sometimes he just tries to look and do that extra step to find the perfect position for the pass or the shot. And like I say, he needs to just let one go. But I think it's fair to say that nobody's seen Kuhn's form come in at the end of last season. He's been definitely the surprise package of the squad so far, and hopefully he maintains it, because he's got the pace and he does like to cut in on the left like that. But I think he starts Kuhn. As much as I do love James Forrest, I think Kuhn's the more dangerous player from the start, I think.
Majority of the comments are saying, bring Forrest on for the last 15-20 minutes to go with tired legs. I think that's it's a no-brainer.
It's not just that with Forrest. He's got the experience and the brains, and he knows he makes, more often than not, he'll make the right decision towards the end of the game. If we're just wanting to sort of see a game out, not just necessarily tomorrow night's game, but because hopefully we don't need to just play it out tomorrow night, but Forrest will make the right decisions and the right pass, or not the shot, and take the ball and maintain possession. But Kuhn starts tomorrow night.
Well, even like you said, Forrest makes that right pass. I think his assist for Luke McCowan on the weekend there is a perfect example of exactly what James Forrest can bring off the bench. He gets his head up, sees the pass, rather than trying to take on the extra man that he knows he probably isn't going to manage to beat, and he'll make that right pass for the likes of Luke McCowan to score from just outside the box. Let's move on to Daizen Maeda. Phil, is Daizen Maeda the most improved Celtic player in the last 2 seasons for you? Because he is for me. And the reason I say that, and my measuring stick, is the judges' comments on Maeda over the last couple of months have completely changed. And I think that's your measuring stick of how well a player has turned around. Because I know he was a cult hero for myself and a few other fans. There was a lot of fans who always stick up for what Daizen could bring to the table. But I think a lot of the criticism was of his ability on the ball and his distribution. Yes, he had rockets strapped to his back and he can beat a man no bother, but he would just kick a ball in front of him and run, and the ball could go anywhere. Well, I think Brendan has managed to coach that out of Maeda. I think we've got a completely different player on our hands now. And like I said, I think that I've not heard the judge criticise Maeda in a long, long time. So that's my measuring stick as to how much of a turnaround Daizen's had at the club since Brendan has come in.
It's a good measuring stick, to be fair, a decent barometer there. Is he the most improved? There's a couple of players that have got a case, but he's somebody, I think when Brendan came back, I think we all talked on this show about who's going to be that guy in a year's time that we all sit and go, oh God, he had an amazing season, because we thought back to Brendan's first time and how he improves players. And I even said at the time it would Daizen Maeda, but even at sort of most of his last season trundled along. He wasn't really doing much. It was somewhere near the end of last season, probably the game at Ibrox where he scored a goal that only Daizen Maeda could score. Let's be honest, that is just a vintage Daizen Maeda goal. Tavernier tries to clear it and it bounces off him and zips past Butland into the net. But yeah, since then, and I think fans have really cordoned on to this guy, gives the fear to Rangers, who are obviously our biggest title rivals every season, but he's just gone from strength to strength. And the thing is, like, as popular as Kyogo is, right, and as loved as Kyogo is, I think out of all the Japanese and Korean players, we've got all the East Asian players, I think Daizen Maeda will be the last one standing. I'm convinced that I think Brendan is 100% bought into him. He loves what he does. He loves the energy that he brings. Remember, there was a game last season that we won at Livingston and we were down to 10 men for the majority of the game because Joe Hart got sent off, but we still won pretty comfortably. And after the game, Brendan was very complimentary on Daizen Maeda, saying that you've never got 10 men when Daizen Maeda's on the park because he does so much good work with like 2 players. So I think that Maeda has definitely became a Brendan Rodgers player. Well, obviously he was an Ange player. He was very much an Ange prototype, but I think now he has evolved into a Brendan player. And I think when the next few windows progress, I think Maeda will be the last one standing out of the East Asian contingent we've got. Because I think I would be surprised if he's one, obviously outside the captain, Callum McGregor. I'm surprised if Maeda's one of the first names on the team sheet every week with Brendan Rodgers, because he just brings that much. I say it's that energy, and Brendan keeps talking about how important what we do. What was he said recently in an interview talking about respect the 30%? That was his new buzz term that he was using, respect the 30%. So that's what you're doing when you're not on the ball. Daizen Maeda is exactly what Brendan's looking for then, a guy that does things off the ball, pressing obviously the work rate and whatnot. So that to me shows that Dyson Maeda's bought in fully Brendan Rodgers and vice versa. He's became such a vital player now. Absolutely love him. I would never play him through the middle because, again, I agree with you, he still has a bit of a clumsy first touch at times. But coming in from that wing, he's dangerous. Fullbacks don't really know how to deal with him. So he's such a vital player for us.
I think I touched on it when it was the World Cup. I think I said it was Rio Ferdinand, I believe, was the one that had said that he just looks like an absolute nightmare to try and defend against Regan. And I think we've always kind of questioned is, how does Dyson Maeda get in that Japanese squad but Kyogo doesn't? And I think we're all kind of catching on now as to why. I'm don't have that as me saying that Kyogo shouldn't be getting called up. But what I'm saying is I can see why now that, when you're picking an international squad, there's obviously only very few spaces to pick from. I can see why Dyson, maybe if the manager's looking at going, right, I've only got one space left, who am I picking, Dyson or Kyogo? It's going to be Dyson every time. For all the right reasons, for all the reasons that we've mentioned, Regan. And again, my only concern with Maeda for maybe tomorrow night is he does seem to struggle when clubs are when teams have got their backs up against the wall and they make it stuffy and there's no room in behind. However, because of the improvements that's been made by Brendan Rodgers to Dyson's game, that could potentially not be as big an obstacle for Dyson anymore with when we look at tomorrow's fixture.
I think Brendan Rodgers mentioned it on Friday in terms of they asked him what the biggest difference is from this season to last season. He said the whole team's working, better in motion. And somebody said, well, what does that mean? He said the whole team's pressing. It's not just a case of one or two players are pressing. And I think what he was meaning there was Maeda's not the only one that's pressing here. He's meaning that everybody's working in sync. And I think that's, I think I totally agree with what Phil was saying there in terms of, like, if you look at the matches against Rangers over the past 4 or 5 years, as much as you can say, Matt scored a brilliant goal or Jota scored a great goal, it's always Dyson Maeda that's always the architect for Celtic to really break down Rangers. I always take it back to the 3-3 game. We would have never drawn that match if it wasn't for Maeda. Always take it back to the very first goal in the first 10 seconds of the match, David. Well, Rangers were in possession of the ball. Dyson Maeda is chasing the ball. Tavernier is scared. And then that is the first goal. And in the second goal, he's chasing down again. And then we score again and we get a penalty. So it's all about being the intensity being high. And I think for a game like tomorrow night, he's somebody that we can rely on. That if players get tired, then he's somebody that'll chase hard for you. He'll work hard and he'll do his best. So I think
standards, Regan. He sets standards for everybody. I think I've always said you can tell when we don't have Dyson Maeda on the team because he sets the standards of the press, Regan. And if you're seeing that guy, if you're a teammate of Dyson and you're seeing that guy in the 80th minute chasing and pressing like the way he does for 90 minutes, it can galvanise you. Look at Kyogo against Rangers when he tracked back.
He tracked back for...
When did you? I mean, that I think that is because of the likes of Dyson Maeda setting such a standard throughout the team. Of course, obviously, Callum McGregor and everybody else is setting that standard too as captains. But when you're seeing a guy doing that for you, that only pushes you on to well, he's got my back, so I'm going to have to. I've got his back as well, Regan.
I think what we'll find. I think what we'll find with Dyson tomorrow. I think he'll be one of the main men tomorrow because that team that we're playing tomorrow night, they'll have never played come up against anything like Maeda in their lives because I think it was Stephen Kennedy put on there about every team needs a Dyson, but we're the team that are lucky to have him. He's unique. If you've never played against Celtic or Japan, you've never played against anybody like Maeda in your life. As you were saying there, Rio Ferdinand was saying, I mean, I think he was well impressed with Maeda. He just couldn't. But in fact, I don't think he could believe that he was playing at Celtic. He probably thought he should be playing at a higher level. But I think Maeda is going to be a major player tomorrow because he's just so unique, and he'll cause loads of problems.
We've got a bit of bickering going on in the comments here. Stephen, Plunge, you're both very funny, but I'm funnier than both of you, right? So let's move on. Let's move on. I'm only playing, guys. Come on, let's play nice. Let's play nice in the comments. You're both very, very funny. You both get lots of laughs. So let's see. Let's move on. Come on, This is Tuesday Ticket. This might be fun.
Dignified show.
This is a dignified show. Keep that for Thursday.
Even though Ian Fraser keeps telling you off for swearing, David, just you stay in line.
I'm the funniest. Right, we're going to get a poll. Who's the funniest? Right, we'll settle this like real men on a poll on Twitter. Anyway, right, the last one. Kyogo. Does he start? Stephen Kennedy, half funnier than me to be fair. Does Kyogo start tomorrow? There's a lot of people saying it was very wasteful against Hearts, and this is why he doesn't get picked for Japan, because he's fucking wasteful. Sorry, Ian Fraser, for swearing.
I think he's very wasteful, but also he's very important. I think he does play tomorrow, David, because, like I said, I think I'm repeating myself tonight, but I think it's important to keep that structure in the team as well. As much as Adam Maeda he's done very well when he's come in, I still feel like Brendan Rodgers will go with the tried and tested, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And people can say Kyogo's missed a lot of chances, but I don't know if you guys agree, but I think he's done so much better this season than he did last season. I don't know if it's a case of he's bought into more Brendan Rodgers methods, or maybe he's just understanding now what Brendan Rodgers wants from him. And I think that's benefiting the whole team. You know, I just hope he can do what he did to Jack Butland. He can do it again tomorrow night, because I'm looking forward to one of them. But I think, like you said, Adam Maeda, 15 for, he's a great option to bring off the bench, you know.
Oh yeah. See, I've lost my place now. Johnny, is there any concern for you right now that our £8 million signing hasn't got off the mark yet? Yes, he put the ball in the back of the net, and you can take some confidence knowing that it wasn't actually him that was offside. You know, he was onside. Okay, the goal got chopped off, but does that bring confidence to Adam Maeda, and does it bring confidence to you that our £8.5 million signing still hasn't scored yet, but can come off the bench, and maybe if he doesn't start tomorrow, if he comes off the bench, he can still make a difference?
I think if he comes off the bench tomorrow, he can still make a difference. I'm not overly concerned at the minute about him not getting off the mark as yet. Yes, he had a pre-season training or a pre-season with Norwich. He played a couple of games with Norwich, but that was at Norwich. It wasn't at Celtic, and it wasn't with Brendan. We should have had him in a lot earlier. We did that, so that's all ground you're covering there. I haven't got any concerns. If we start getting to 8, 9, 10 games and he's still not put the ball in the back of the net, then I might start to have a concern. But then again, that concern might just depend on how many minutes he's getting as well. Is he only getting 10, 15 minutes at the end of a game? Is he going to start a game? He's another one. He'll start. I think we'll have a very different team out on Sunday, is it, against Falkirk?
Yeah,
I think some of these guys are going to get playing. The likes of Adam Maeda is going to get on the park, get some game time in his legs, get him up to speed. But at the minute, I wouldn't say I'm concerned that he's not scoring. The fact is, like you just said there, David, he scored on Saturday. Yes, the goal was disallowed, but he's getting himself in the right positions.
Great
and he finished it off well. And like you said, it was just a bit of laziness from Palmer and not getting himself back on side soon enough, because he could have got back on side. He was a bit slow getting back. But no, I haven't got any concerns at the minute. If it starts to turn into a real drought, 9, 10, 11 games, then you might think, what's going on here? But at the minute now.
Yeah, Phil, I think you'll probably echo that, but I think Kyogo probably starts tomorrow. I think we are looking at the same starting front three as we saw against Hearts. Kyogo, I want to put down Kyogo's. I know he's notorious for missing a lot, but he's also very notorious for scoring lots of goals. I'll put it down to the fact that he didn't play any football over the international break there, and maybe was just a little bit rusty. But he got the monkey off his back for scoring in the Champions League. So I mean, we know he can do it at this level, and he'll be up for proving that he should still be the number one striker at the club, even though Brendan wants two number one strikers. But he'll be certainly want to make sure that he's starting these Champions League nights ahead of Adam Maeda, and I think it's most likely that he will. How are you feeling about Kyogo at European level? Has he still got it, never lost it?
Yeah, I think he'll definitely start tomorrow night. I think it'll be a case of we're going to look to stretch the game again. Pace and the quickness is going to be vital. Moving the ball quickly, and maybe Kyogo has been missing chances, and it's not even a new thing. Kyogo's missed chances from when Ange was in charge in his first season. He would miss as many chances as he'd scored in a game. There's times when he would come away from scoring a hat-trick in a game, but he could have had 6 or 7 because he missed so many gilt-edged chances, but he never ever hides. You can always say that about him. Sometimes a striker might miss a gilt-edged chance and then they'll hide for the rest of the game, but he never ever lets it affect him, and he just keeps on going. So I do think he will start. I think Adam Maeda will show his value in the Champions League in the away games, because those are ones we're going to be under the caution. We're going to need him up front to keep the ball up there, to get us forward, because that's where he's going to be valuable. You've got 2 strikers there that are very much, we talk about the term horses for courses. They're 2 very different strikers, different molds, and they're built for different scenarios. So I think with the home games here in particular, we're going to want to take the game to them, all the opponents. So I think Kyogo's perfect for that. But yeah, in the away games, I can see that's where Ida's going to be more valuable, because we're going to be under the caution. We play Dortmund and Atalanta in the next 2 games after this. We're going to be one of those pinned in, one of the ones you want to watch the game from behind the couch, because it's going to be uncomfortable. So we're going to need the big man up front to obviously keep the ball up there and allow midfield runners to get up and support him. That's where he's going to be vital there for that one. But for tomorrow night, it's Kyogo, and I've got no worries about him. Again, even if he misses a few chances, he'll still keep on going. But his movement also creates openings for other guys around him, which is so vital. He can drag defenders out of position and whatnot, and then Maeda or Kuhn or maybe a midfield runner like Engels can get in behind. So even though he might be missing the chances and they do stand out, he's doing a lot as well off the ball that you've got to pay attention to as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that rounds up all the potential starting 11. We don't have it. We're not privy to the Brendan's starting 11. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to watching it. I won't be there, unfortunately, but I'll find a way. We always find a way. And of course, hopefully we find a way to beat the Slovakian champions tomorrow night. And I appreciate everybody that joined us for the Tuesday ticket. It's a different format now until the transfer window opens, so we'll mix it up a fair wee bit. These have all behaved in the chat. Most of you. If Stephen's away now, then Plunge, you're the funniest, mate.
No, they're both still here.
Stephen's the funniest. Right, so what's happening the rest of the week? Of course, I imagine there will be a post-match push at some point. Obviously, the game finishes, it was quite late, so whether it happens late night or if it's the next day, you'll have to wait and see. I know Connor's itching to do a carpool, so we'll probably see one of them. And of course, the TNF will be back with the Judge and Boise and the Friday Feeling with the Greg Taylor hater.
Yeah, that should be on Friday, looking to the Falkirk game. Are we going to be brave enough to do predictions before we go? Are we going to jinx it? Are we going to go around the table and do predictions?
Well,
David?
we've had a few predictions in the chat tonight, so why not? I'll quickly finish it on. I'll say 2-0. I'll go 2-0. Celtic, obviously, of course.
I'll go 3-0.
I'll go 2-1.
Oh.
Celtic 4, Slovan Bratislava 1.
That's it.
I think we'll have I'll take a 1-0, a scrappy 1-0 that deflects in off of Greg Taylor's arse right now, whatever. I'll take it, but I'm going to go 4-1. There you go. famous last words it might
There
be.
we go.
But you know
Pause
what?
it
I like to
for
live
the phone.
dangerously. Let's go for
There
it.
we go. Yeah, brilliant. Right, well, if you are going to the game, enjoy it. And of course, we'll see you next Tuesday for another exciting Tuesday ticket. Take care. See you then.
See you then, guys.